Hi everyone, my name is Manraj. I'm making a video today because I've created a tool and I wanted to share it with the community. This isn't a tool that I've created. What I'm showing right now is the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet calculator on Nerd of Now. The significance of this is because I'm about to show you how my tool can help a lot when it comes to EVing Pokemon. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into it. So you can see here that we have the Nerd of Now calculator. I've just taken an Entei, that's Jolly, Life Orb set, 252 attack, 252 speed, and I've taken a Urshifu, which is a Choice Scarf. I put a Choice Scarf on it. It does say basic Mr. Water, but I'll just change that to just to make that really clear. It's the standard Choice Scarf set that's on the calculator, which is 252 attack, 252 speed, 4 in HP, adamant, Choice Scarf, and you can see here I've terrored it to see choice to terrored water it, so it does 88.4 to 104.2%, which is a 7.5% chance to KO. So if I were to, I'm thinking about board state and in the game, I have a chance to 2-8 KO at 71%. If I were to E-speed, because I'm Life Orb, I do take 10%. So let me just bring this down to 171. So it's 19 health points is dropped because 190 was my base HP. I then see that the Surging Strikes becomes a 97.36% chance to Oko, which means that if there was an endgame, I don't even have an opportunity to potentially allow myself to win the game by getting 2 E-speeds off. I only get 1. And this is where my tool comes into play, and this is why I wanted to showcase this. So I'm about to jump off of the calculator. I'm going to go straight into Claude. So Claude is a AI large language model, but the kicker to this is that I've created a thing in the backend, or a connector per se, to Claude to help with these damage calculations and help optimize spreads. So I've taken the spreads that was on the Entei, which is 252 attack, 252 speed, and 4 in special defense, and then I've asked it a question saying, does this live Life Orb Earth Power after Terror and 1 chip of Life Orb damage from a Landorus Incarnate, and the same for a Terror Water Urshifu. I've said, if not, please rejig the EVs. The speed and the attack has to stay the same. The reason I asked this is because this is mathematically impossible. You cannot live the Surging Strikes if you keep the attack and the speed the same, because that's 252 investment in attack and 252 in speed. So as you can see here, it says that the Earth Power does a 70 to 84%. It also does say, like we saw in the calculator, and I'll pull up the calculator once again, 88.4 is on the calculator, and 104.2 as you can see here. And if I just put the calculator away, you can also see that this application does show the 88.4 and 104.2 after a Terra Water Surging Strikes. And like it says here, the bad news is that because they're locked in, you can't survive the Surging Strikes, and then it gives you some options. So I'm now going to say, I am happy to reduce my speed in order to live the hit from Urshifu, Rapid Strike. For full disclosure, I use the Opus 4.5 model, which is a premium service for Claude. People usually have access to Sonnet 4.5 and Haiku. I haven't tested that much on Sonnet or Haiku, so I can't speak to the accuracy. Sonnet hasn't been amazing whilst I've been using it, so I've always stuck with Opus 4.5, but I'm also aware that the number of tokens being used and your token limits may run out much more quickly if you use the Opus model. So that's something I want to test, and something that I want to continue to iterate and work on as I continue to build out this this project that I'm basically doing for the community. The great thing about this tool, and I'll speak about it whilst it's doing its thing, is that I've actually used it in the regional. So the most recent regional I went to, I used it to work out an Entei spread for a use case, and it came in clutch and it actually optimized my EVs. I helped a friend use it for a different Pokemon, and they wanted to live like 25% of the time from a rapid strike rapid strike surging strikes for Urshifu. And that actually came into play in one of the matches, and it was just so easy because I can just do it on my phone and just ask the questions and say, because I've got this connected on a web server, so I don't need to necessarily have the application on my computer, which I'm showcasing to you all here now, because I have Claude, the app on my phone, and the web server which is connected to this tool running in the background. I'm able to do this on my phone and just ask questions. As you can see here, it's going through that process where it says with 116 EVs you get to 205 HP. Life Orb would be 20 damage, 10% of 205, leaving myself at 185 HP. And you can see that this continues to iterate and work out the optimizations for the HP. Because I also asked about Landorus, it does also check the Landorus EVs, and you can see here that it does do some of the speed and spread analysis as well. So if I wanted to ask something like, do I make sure I outspeed a Chien-Pao after Icy Wind, which would be speed 137, the tool would be aware of this and also help with those kind of benchmarks as well. So effectively, the tool at the moment, as constructed, is you give spreads or you give a Pokemon and an item, and you say you want to either live certain moves, take a Pokemon out, like a Sacred Fire, let's just say on the Flutter Mane. With Life Orb, it does take it out, but for those bold 252 spreads, which are quite common now and people have been using with T-Wave, that's something to think about also. And also just thinking about the speed on that Flutter Mane, and if it got Icy Winded, what would it look like? So if I now go here, it will show you the final optimized spread, and you can see that it's put 244 into HP, and it's put the 252 into attack like it is, and then 12 in speed, and it gives you the final output. And it can also tell you where it lives that move. So Earth Power does 60.6 to 72.3, and then it also lets you know how much a Surging Strikes does. The one thing I would say about this tool, and something I'm personally working on, is knowing what those spreads are on those Pokemon. So say, what spread were you using on Urshifu and Landorus? Because I think that transparency is really important. There are ways to actually identify this when you click on calculate damage output, and you can see that it says Life Orb, Earth Power, and it does tell you. The good thing about this tool also, it grabs the data from Smogon's Chaos stats. So you can see the attacker's EV spread is 84 HP, 44 defense, 124 special attack, 252 speed. And if anyone using this tool, they'll be able to see this if they click on this drop down. If you're not comfortable looking at the data in this format, you can just ask, like it shows here. It says here, Landorus Incarnate is the 124 252 spread pulled from Smogon usage at 14.7 usage spread with Life of Sheer Force. And then it says, this is Adamant 252 Urshifu. I specified this manually since you asked about Terra Water Surging Strikes. So you can then also ask to change the nature or max the special attack with Landorus. But to show the utility of this tool again, I'm about to go into the calculator. So that was let's just scroll back up. That's a 124. These are the numbers that we're expecting. 76 and 89.5. Let's just scroll up so I can see that's a 244 HP. And then I will also expect a 60.6 to 72.3 from the Landorus. So let's put the Urshifu in. So this was 244. Just bear with me. I will just share that on the screen now. That was 244 HP. And that was 12 speed. The speed is not really relevant here. And you can see that it says 76 to 89.5. The choice scarf doesn't matter. It did say it was an Adamant Terra Water Surging Strikes, and it said there was no item of choice that was boosting this Pokemon's attack. So we can see that did 76 to 89.5. The reason I also chose Surging Strikes is because it has a really unique like, in a sense, a game mechanic because of the rolls and the crits on Surging Strike. So there's like, even though it's a critical hit move, it has a roll as well on per hit. And then so if I just go back to the tool, that said 76 to 89.5. That says 76 to 89.5. So that was perfect. And then I also can go onto Landorus, and I believe that said it was timid 124, and I can see those numbers already, and I'm pretty sure they're right. So you can see right here it says 60.6 to 72.3, and if I jump off of this, you can see that it says there 60.6 to 72.3. So the tool works as intended. There are going to be more use cases for this tool. Like I said, you can even ask like, can I also outspeed a Chiem Pal after an icy wind 2, please? So you can also make extra requests. So it has the benchmark for your um, spread that actually works and lives those moves. Ideally, in a sense, you also want your you also would like your, what's it called, a spread to outspeed certain moves, and you can see that there are some discrepancies. We're looking at this right now. I can already tell you that an icy winded Chen Pao, because of Poke Round, is actually 136 and not 137. So there's things like this that need to be ironed out, but you can see the premise of this application, how it's meant to be used, where you can then see that, okay, if I need to hit 138, that requires 44 speed EVs, and it continues to work out the damage rolls and the investment required. So because the HP being 196, and sorry, the HP being 212, and because Urshifu being a physical attacker, it's better to actually put more in defense than HP. So it acknowledges that and then starts making those adjustments. And you can see now that as it goes down, we've found that 100 defense is a really good EV stat to be at, and then it also tells you how much the Earth Power does, because Earth Power is a special attacking move. So this is how the tool works. It works currently in Claude. This is on Claude desktop. Opus 4.5 is the best use case for the tool. I'm going to go back onto the calculator just to show you guys it working again once more, and just not to make it out as if it was just like a fluke in that sense. Like I say, we'd love to hear your feedback on this tool and how you look to improve it or extra features to add to it. And so that was 100 defense, and we had, let me just go back, so 100 defense, 112 HP, and yeah, 112 HP, 100 defense, and 44 speed. Perfect. One thing I also noticed just now is that 112 HP, and you could just see I just did that a second ago. 108 is the HP stat. 112 is 4 EVs wasted. With that being said, though, this is good. This is obviously how I want things to be tested. I love your feedback in that sense when it comes to these things and these small teething problems, because I think this is where like the tool can really benefit in a sense. Sorry about that. Let me just open this back up. So this says that the Earth power is 66.6 to 78.9. If I open that back up and I then display that, you can see quite clearly there the Earth power is 66.6 to 78.9. So yeah, it works. I'm just gonna just double check what the Urshifu spread was meant to be, or what it does for Urshifu in a sense, how much they live by. So this is, it survives on 4 HP after Terror Water Surging Strikes Adamant, and then it says most Arcanine Hisui spreads are under 236, and it says what you under speed as well, which is really nice. But going back to the calculator, we will just double check that Urshifu spread, and like I said, it was not a boosting item. So if I just do the Urshifu standard scarf, and I've terrored this, and that's Terra Water, that's 88.2, and if I just open that back up, we can see that after Life Orb chip, it says I survive on 4 HP. So if I just 88% is then, let's see how much that says it does. Max is 180. So if I'm on 184, which is after 1 E speed, which is 90% HP, as you can see here, I would go down to, like it says, 4 HP. Well, hold up, sorry. 4 hit points. That's correct because it does 180. So you can see if I just lock that in, Surging Strikes is 180. After one tick of Life Orb, I'd be at 184 because it was 204 HP. And then you can see that the 180, 184 minus 180 then brings it down to 4 HP. So this is a tool that can work on your phone. I have used it on my phone. Like I said, would love for people to test it. Opus 4.5 seems like the best model to use when using this application, and this can be used for offensive calcs, defensive calcs. I've just showcased it in this use case. I also know that like a lot of people when they start doing Pokemon EVs, they start min maxing like this, and they start taking stuff from HP and then putting it into defense. But the cool thing about this application is if you start putting things into defense, you and sacrificing HP, you also want to know how that impacts your especially defensive calcs as well. Like for example, you're versing an Urshifu, I've reduced my HP for defense, and I want to know if a Landorus is a problem or if I can live the Earth power. Same thing would happen if an Urshifu wants to live like a Grassy Glide and then it needed to move some HP over. It could impact the spread for Raging Bolt Thunderclap. That's not necessarily a use case, but just to illustrate the idea of taking from your HP can impact especially offensive calcs or physically offensive calcs, given that you put the HP into the physical defense or special defense. But this is effectively how it works. I can send like a guide on how to use it, and also would just love feedback from the community as a collective. What would you want to improve? What would you like to add? And this is just a project I'm continuing to work on, and I love your input on that. So thank you for your time. Appreciate everyone obviously during the regional as well with the support, and when I showed the app on my phone, application running on my phone and it working in real time. Yeah, I think we can massively benefit from this. It does grab the most recent Smogon Chaos stats as well if you do not specify a spread. Like you could write down, I have a 252 Landorus and I'm using my NT and want to live after Terra Normal on an Earth power. Let me know what investments I need. So you can be very specific as well. But this is how the AI system works, and I hope that's something you can all benefit from and use to help build out your Pokemon spread. So thank you.